mental health. Let's talk about urban issues plaguing our community with Dr. Lisa LaCon. Let's talk about urban issues plaguing our community with Dr. Lisa LaCon. about mental health. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about mental health. Hello, my urbanites. How are you doing tonight? Let's talk about urban issues plaguing our community with Dr. LaCon. Hello, my urbanites. How are you all doing today, tonight? It's not night where I am because I am live from Honolulu, Hawaii. Yay! Oh my goodness, listen, I can take off my glasses for this. My husband and I are in Honolulu, Hawaii. This is our 5th time in Hawaii. We usually go to Maui. So this is our first time on the island of Oahu. And so far it has been raining every single day. Oh my gosh, listen, if you want to go or come to Hawaii, be prepared, especially if you're on the East Coast, to spend at least 9 to 11 hours in the air. Depending on if it's the, what do we call it when we change the time zones and things of that nature, it could either be 5 hours behind or 6 hours. Now it's 5 hours because in Hawaii, they do not experience daylight savings at all. Like, what's the point? They opted out years ago, like 50 years ago. So they are not relegated to daylight savings. So it's 5 hours behind. So it's 5 p.m. in Honolulu, Hawaii, and you are entering into the Urban Suite with Dr. LaCon. Listen, you guys, my urbanites, I missed you guys. I missed you all. You know what? When we first came here to Honolulu, the telephone said, of course, like, you know, the temperature, the time, and it said Urban Honolulu. And I'm like, well, why are they calling it Urban Honolulu? So when I went jogging, I understood why they call it Urban Honolulu. I'm not kidding you. It reminds me of Newark with palm trees and a beach front view. Anyway, we have a great show today. We are talking about the 8 levels of intensity associated with fear, because let me tell you, the reason why I needed to do this, because I need my urbanites, I need you guys to start the new year off right, to start the new year off minding your business correctly, the right way. And oftentimes fear paralyzes us. So we're going to talk about what fear is tonight, and we're not going to talk about all 8, because this is a 2-part series. This is just part 1 of part 2. So before we get into the details, we're going to cover a couple of things. We're going to give you news updates, a word from our sponsor, as well as our missing persons. So right now, take it away. So listen, we are sponsored by Blessed Ministries Incorporated. The Urban Suite is sponsored by Blessed Ministries Incorporated. We are the premier workforce development agency in the state of New Jersey. And we work with various populations to get them employed, you guys. We work with those under the supervision of parole. We work with adults with disabilities. We work with youth with disabilities, like teens with disabilities. We work with those impacted by opioids in the state of New Jersey, as well as those that are receiving like food stamps and things of that nature. We do put people to work. All right, and next we have our missing person. So let's go with that right now. All right, so bring up our missing person, Tracy Tyrone Williams. Oh, this is something. Tracy Tyrone Williams, he has been missing since the day after Christmas. He's 54 years old. He's missing from Portage, Indiana. He's a male, black, dark complexion, 5'11", 225 pounds. His hair color says other. He has short hair. His eye color is brown. Now, this is interesting. Tracy was last seen at the Best Western Hotel Plus on Melton Road in Portage, Indiana. So let me bring this up right here in Portage, Indiana. But now this is weird, you guys. This is where it gets kind of interesting. Tracy and his wife traveled to Indiana to visit family for the holidays. He left the hotel room to go to the store and hasn't been seen or heard since. Tracy struck a white 2021 Toyota Tundra, Texas plates. So apparently he traveled from Texas to Indiana during the holiday, left the hotel room with his wife, told his wife that he was going to the store, and he did not return. And his Texas plate is PJJ 36888. Listen, I need you all to share. I need you to like. I need you to subscribe, because we have to find Mr. Tracy Tyrone Williams. Very important. Listen, if you don't agree with what I'm talking about, I don't care. I just need you to share so we can plaster Tracy's information all over the social media websites, every place, okay? Someone's husband is missing. Perhaps someone's father, perhaps someone's uncle, perhaps someone's cousin, perhaps someone's child is missing. His name is Tracy Tyrone Williams. The Portage Police Department's telephone number is 219, area code 219-762-3122. If you have any information about the whereabouts of Tracy, please contact the Portage, Indiana Police Department at area code 219-762-3122, or you can contact Black and Missing Foundation Incorporated. And their telephone number is 877-97-BAMFI. That number is 877-97-BAMFI. So listen, let's bring Tracy home safe and sound. All right. So thank you, you guys. Please, I need you all to share the information, share his picture, share his video, share it on TikTok, share it on Instagram, share it YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on the various pages of my YouTube, not my YouTube, but my Facebook. The Facebook is Dad's Blessed Ministries. And of course, Urban Twos for Change podcast featuring me, Dr. Lisa LaCon. So listen, what do we have up next? Woo! Coming up next, we have a quick break and then our news update. So let's give them the quick break right now.
You are entering the Urban Suite.
All right, so before we go into our news breaks, we do have a couple of comments. I have Sage joining us. How are you, Mr. Sage Gallen? Listen, if you all don't know about Sage Gallen, you should know about Sage Gallen. When I am in my urban suite, initially I had some pictures up, and the pictures are by this fantastic artist by the name of Sage Gallen. And let me tell you what artwork does for me. Artwork is basically a tool in my toolbox. Oh, he said, I'm telling you, artwork is a tool in my toolbox. He did a piece of work for me, and I'm telling you guys, I tell you this, every March, I would get a little depressed because I lost a child in March. And he painted a picture that looked exactly like the daughter that my husband and I would have had. And Sage didn't even know anything about this. When I saw that painting, I told my husband, I got to get it. You got to get that for me. That picture is on my phone, my cell phone. It's in my living room because it gives me peace. It gives me solace. So people ask me, Lisa, what's in your toolbox? And you know what's in my toolbox? Artwork from people like Sage Gallen. I love you too, brother. So anyway, listen, we have a show tonight. So let's talk about the first news update. Who do we have? Antonio Brown, it says he loses his shirt. You know, I am a major football fan. You know, I love mental health topics and issues. So when the two worlds collide, it really is something very important to me. Antonio Brown, he is formerly with the Bucks because he was unfortunately let go of the team based on what transpired when he was playing the Jets. So what he did midway through the game, he took off his uniform, unrolled, took off his shirt, uh, ran into the end zone, did a peace sign like I'm out, and just left. So we're going to show you the video right now, what actually happened, because I didn't really see this. I didn't really see this game because the Jets don't interest me. So let's show them the video of Antonio Brown kind of losing, unfortunately, more than his shirt. Can you pull that video up? There he is. He's taking off his uniform.
Trying to convince him to keep them on. Obviously, they were unable to do so. He tossed his shoulder pads, stripped off his shirt and glove, threw those into the crowd, then ran across the field while the teams were still on the field, giving the crowd a peace out sign. I'll let you know when we hear something official on his status.
Antonio Brown, that's Antonio Brown without.
All right, so we're having some technical difficulties, probably because I'm live from Honolulu, Hawaii. So anything is bound to happen. Actually, I didn't know if I was going to actually have a show tonight, but I'm here. So we're having slight technical difficulties, but that's all right. I'll give you a recap of what happened. So basically, as you saw, midway through the game, he takes off his uniform. He takes off his shoulder pads, his shirt. He goes down, runs in the end zone, gives the peace sign, and then he's like, I'm out of here. So it's definitely attention-seeking behavior that he is exhibiting. I don't know what what's the why behind that, why that is actually happening. It could be a couple of things. If you know his history, Antonio Brown, he's always been attention seeking. Some people are chalking it up to CTE, which is chronic traumatic encephalopathy, brain injury, repeatedly getting hit, either boxing or football. It could be he could be, perhaps on some type of substance. I don't know. But what I do know is he definitely needs to get evaluated, because I always look at people like him and I always say, oh my gosh, he could be my child. That could be my child. Like, what would I do as a mother if I saw my son display that type of behavior? The first thing I would have to do, definitely pray. The second thing I would have to do is fly out to wherever he is, because that's a cry for help. I don't know exactly, like I said, what's happening with him. I've never been in his presence to assess what it could possibly be, but we know that something is not quite right. That is not normal behavior from an employee who signs a couple of $1 million and says, you know what, I'm out of here, in the fashion that he did it. So the Bucks let him go. I don't know if anyone else is going to have him come on, because right now he looks very toxic to football owners. So, I don't know. I can only pray for him. I can only recommend that he get an evaluation from a good therapist, from a good psychiatrist. They do also some type of CT scan to see if he does have CTE, if he has some type of brain disorder, because his behavior is very erratic, very erratic. So when you look at people that have brain injuries, whether it be acquired brain injuries, ABE, things of that nature, they're very erratic, irrational, because their brain has been injured. Again, I have no idea what's happening with him, if he has a brain injury or not, but the brother definitely needs help. And his family needs to rally around him, and don't look at the money that he's losing, but look at the soul, the spirit. He doesn't even look good physically. He was a very attractive young guy. He just does not look right physically. He looks like he could be on some type of pain medication, opioids, and that. I don't know. But I'm going to keep abreast of this. I'm going to keep following up on this, because this is something that really is important to me, not only because he's a brother, but because apparently he does have some type of mental health condition, as well as he's a football player. Again, if you know me, you know I'm a diehard football playing fan, to the point where I hate Dallas Cowboys. But when, what's his name, Dak Prescott was injured, I even prayed for him. Now, I think my prayers got answered too well, because now they're like trying to go to the Super Bowl. I said, I'm never praying for him like that again in my life. Anyway, so moving right along, we have some other news close to my hometown, Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia. There's a snowstorm nightmare. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. Listen, I said, Lord, forgive me, because I'm complaining about here in Honolulu, Hawaii, 72 degrees and raining. Meanwhile, in my hometown of Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, they have a foot of snow. Listen, and not only do they have a foot of snow, but people are trapped in their cars on the highway. Do we have a clip of that? What people are experiencing?
Drivers stuck on I-95 in Virginia because of yesterday's winter storm. The ABC affiliate in Washington is reporting that many of them were forced to spend the night in their cars. And that is just some of the aftermath of a storm that dumped up to a foot or more of snow in areas to our south. In Washington, D.C., the storm forced the closure of government offices and schools, and more than 500,000 people in the D.C. area lost power. President Biden was briefly stuck on Air Force One as stair lifts struggled to get through the snow. The president then had to take a motorcade to the White House since his chopper was grounded. And this is what it looked like along the Jersey Shore, which saw its biggest snowfall in 4 years, more than a foot in some places. Ahead of the storm, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy declared a state of emergency for multiple counties.
Right, we just made it here physically on I-95 South. We are in Triangle, Virginia, where the line of vehicles, you still see no end in sight. It is going back for miles. There's already a backup happening. They're directing them to Route 1, which for those who are familiar in this area is one way to get south. They're either telling people to go down south to Route 1 or go back to a different route all the way to take north of I-95. The problem is it's already jam-packed. I heard from one driver who tried to take Route 1 a few moments ago. He says it's already gridlocked as well. It has been a nightmare for drivers. Many of them I spoke to have been sitting in traffic for at least 24 hours. Just moments ago, I spoke to someone. He's been here for 24 hours. They're even traveling as far as down to Florida. We stayed in this community overnight. Many of them were forced to already exit last night to find food, drinks, gas, even a place to stay. And with plunging temperatures, people felt desperate and frustrated. If anything else could have been done to avoid a traffic disaster like this. Right now, how long have you been stuck in traffic?
Since 7:15 last night.
How did you make it through? What did you have to do? Was it cold?
I ran out of drinks. I cycled the car on and off so I wouldn't run out of gas. And me and the man in the van back there, we communicated. I let him use my charger for his cell phone. We got around, walked around, talked to different people.
What is your reaction to all of this? You know, we spoke to some gentleman who understands being stuck in traffic, but he was stuck in traffic for 19 hours. Are you okay? What is your reaction?
I think it's a little ridiculous. They knew the snow was coming. I tried to leave Baltimore early. I live in South Carolina. I was going back to work, and I tried to leave early yesterday.
All right, so unfortunately, we are still having some type of technical difficulties, but outside of that, we're going to go with the flow and just keep on rolling. So basically, you know, it was a horrendous traffic jam where people were scared straight. They were horrified. They were scared. They had no idea what to expect. And this is a perfect way to segue into the topic that I'm talking about tonight, the 8 intensity. This is great. I'm telling you, it's the 8 levels of intensity associated with fear. These people were stuck in their cars, freezing overnight, no food, no water. They ran out of gas. Like, what do you do? So it says right here that some callers, because they were calling 911, they were sobbing and scared. Psychologically, it's extremely distressing to be motionless on a highway for hours on end without knowing how much longer it will be. And that's when fear will creep in. And what exactly is fear? Fear is a spirit. You cannot hold fear in your hand like this. You can't, it's not tangible. You can't hold it. It is a spirit. And it's something that pretty much it starts right here in your mind. So what happened with these people? We're going to go through 4 levels tonight. 4 of the levels of intensity associated with fear. So the first level is trepidation. Trepidation for these people are like, uh-oh, I'm stuck. That is the initial fear factor, trepidation. And if trepidation persists, if you're, uh-oh, I'm stuck, you don't know what's going to happen. And fear is caused by your thoughts of something that is imminent or it's uncertain. So imminent meaning there's a possibility that it could happen, that it will happen. Uncertain is there's a possibility that it may happen. So in your mind, you are basing fear on two things: an imminent event, meaning it is going to happen, or an uncertain outcome. You're not really certain, but your mind is playing out certain things. I call it the bear effect. Beliefs expected as reality. BEAR, the bear effect. Because initially, what you're doing is you're having a thought process in your mind about what you expect to happen, whether at this point, if it's positive or not, because you just don't know. So for the people who are stuck in their cars, trepidation first, like, oh, we're not moving. And then when trepidation is not removed or it's not alleviated, the next one is nervousness. Now you become nervous because trepidation was not alleviated. What happened is now, because trepidation has moved into another realm, it's like this. Okay, now I'm nervous. It's been 2 hours and I'm running out of rations. I'm running out of water. I'm running out of gas. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, can't you see it becoming heightened? The first one, trepidation. If that's not settled or is not done away with, then we have nervousness. If nervousness is not settled, because remember, it's all in your mind. Now you're thinking perhaps almost the worst, but you don't know what the worst is going to be. At this point, you're nervous because you don't see how you're going to get out of this situation intact. So it's like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And then if nervousness persists, the next level is anxiety. Anxiety. Now, let me tell you about anxiety. Anxiety is the third level, but most people get stuck with this level of anxiety. This is when people experience anxiety attacks. What happens physically? Your heart starts pounding. Oh my gosh, how am I really going to get? I see no way out. Oh my goodness. You can't control your breathing. You can't control your breathing at this point. Now you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get out? Because the trepidation wasn't alleviated. Your nervousness wasn't alleviated. Now you're in the next realm of anxiety. And all of this stems from duration. How long have you been sitting in that car in the cold? If you've been sitting in that car, depending on how you're wired, for 4 hours, 5 hours, you're starting to become anxious. And let me tell you about anxiety also. Anxiety is a cause for high blood pressure. Anxiety is a cause for stroke. Anxiety is the cause where people don't have peace of mind because their mind is racing. You're starting to see things in your mind that you have no idea how it's going to play out. You lose sleep. You undereat. You overeat. You do everything in the extreme when it comes to anxiety. A lot of people at this point start to use medication because they don't know how to control their thoughts. And on this platform, I'm going to help you on how you can control your thoughts so that you may not need medication. so that you are able to sleep at night, so that you're able to have that peace that surpasses all understanding. Without all of those things in place, without that peace that surpasses all understanding, without that, you're going to go into the realm of anxiety and you are going to become overly anxious. Now, there are some things you can be anxious about, say, for instance, speaking in front of a group of people. You can be anxious about starting a new business venture. That's normal. But when anxiety becomes debilitating, that's when you have a problem and that's when you have an issue. And then if your anxiety is not alleviated, we go to the next level, which we're getting closer and closer to the last level, which is terror. But this one is dread. This one is dread. So the people in the car on that 6th hour, they were probably dreading their decisions that they made to be in that location at that time. They were probably dreading, oh my God, what is going to happen in my life right now? They were probably dreading, oh my gosh, I left so-and-so in the house by themselves. I left so-and-so in the house by herself. Or they were dreading, can you imagine a mother, a single mother, being on the road with 4 small children at the same time? I can't imagine. I can't imagine. When you hit the area of dread, now you're tiptoeing. Every thought that you have at this point forward is negative. You think the worst outcome. I'm going to die in this car tonight. I'm going to be on the news with the frozen body. I'm going to have my kids with the frozen. You just think the worst. And why do we do that? Why do we think the worst instead of the positive? I think oftentimes we think the worst instead of the positive because our human nature, our flesh, our human nature, we have a tendency to think the worst. Why do you think more people listen to gossip sites than sites like this platform? People love negativity. People are comfortable with negativity. So if you are a person and you have positive thoughts, you're going to be made fun of sometimes. Oh, well, she's always thinking the best. What's wrong with her? Why is she always thinking the best? How come she's not thinking negative? How come she not? Well, you know what? Some people aren't wired to do that. And within this process, you need to identify where you are on this spectrum. Are you just feeling trepidation right now? Are you just feeling nervous right now? Are you feeling anxious about something? And then are you feeling dread? Like I was telling someone, these levels, you do not want to level up. Because if you see yourself leveling up, that is not a good recipe, because next week we're going to talk about the next 4 levels associated with this and what the end result can be. But we're also going to talk about a solution. We're going to talk about a solution because, to be perfectly honest, we all go through these levels of intensity associated with fear. I have a fear. I have a fear of getting on roller coasters. And I have a personal fear of dying by myself on my deathbed without my family surrounding me. That's my personal fear. We all have these fears, but that fear is not allowing me to be paralyzed. That fear is allowing me to have 4, 5 children, prayerfully grandchildren, and things of that nature. People confront fear differently. You can either confront your fear or you can avoid it. Now, some people that were in the car, what they did was they handled it differently. Some people stayed in the car and just waited. Some people abandoned their car and walked to a hotel and said, you know what, I'll deal with this tomorrow. I know where the car is. I know where the marker is. It depends. If I have 4 small children with me, am I going to tag them along? No. Should I probably would have just waited. I probably had no choice, and we would have had games and play games and stuff like that. That's why it's always important to keep water in your car, a first aid kit, snacks, a full tank of gas. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. But getting back to the topic at hand, the 8 levels of intensity associated with fear. Remember, I said fear is a spirit, and I did a very in-depth teaching about fear. I'm not going to do that tonight. If you need to see that, you can go back to a previous podcast that I had done. It's called The Bear Effect. You can find that on Spotify. You can find that, I believe it's on iHeartRadio also, where I really talk about what fear is. Fear is a spirit. It will paralyze you. And in fear, there's something that you hate. Something that you hate. You may not look at it like that, but it is something that you hate. And also with fear, this is one of the main things. You do not have a sound mind when it comes to fear. Your mind is not sound. Your mind is all over the place. Your mind is warped. Your mind is thinking about things that may not happen. So in a sense, with fear, oftentimes you're wasting your time thinking about things that may not happen. Do you know how much of a time thief fear is? To be thinking about things that may not happen. You can't sleep. You can't eat. You can't function as an adult because of your thoughts. How powerful is that? Your thoughts. You are allowing your thoughts to control you. You are allowing your thoughts to take advantage of you and the situation at hand without holding your thoughts captive. Instead, your thoughts are holding you captive. And it's not a good picture when it comes out when your thoughts are holding you captive. I know for me, a couple of things on how I deal with fear. Oftentimes, I confront it. Now, I'm not recommending that, but you need to see a medical professional to best approach fear based on how you are wired. Based on how you are wired. Some people, pull the Band-Aid off real quick. Some people take tiny steps, take tiny steps. So it really depends. It really depends on what and how you are wired. So let's go through the first 4 levels of intensity associated with fear. The first one is trepidation. Trepidation is that, something's not right. Something's not right. Can you pull up the first one? Yep, trepidation. That means something's not right. And if trepidation is not alleviated and that something is not right, it's going to escalate to the next level. And that next level is nervousness. That's when you're starting to you're starting to think a little bit more about the possibility of something happening. Is it an imminent event, or maybe it's something uncertain? I don't know. Your mind is starting to race now. It's like, okay, I'm starting to get nervous. Your heartbeat at this point is starting to raise, is starting to escalate. At this point, when you're starting to become nervous, this is when you need to start to control your thoughts. Because if you don't, the next level, anxiety, is going to kick in. And again, a lot of people struggle with anxiety disorders because they're at a point outside of biological things, outside of a brain condition. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about someone that has been diagnosed with anxiety because of your lifestyle. How are you choosing to live? Meaning, what are the thoughts in your head that's keeping you up at night? What are the thoughts in your head that is preventing you from eating? What are the thoughts in your head that is contributing to you not eating, overeating, indulging in extremes in life based on your thoughts? The battleground is here in the mind. It's in the mind. Every single day we have thoughts, and sometimes you have to fight through those thoughts. And I'm going to show you how to fight through those thoughts next week on part 2. And then if anxiety is not alleviated, here comes the dread. Oh my gosh, this is when you really start to think only the negative stuff at this point. It's all negative going downhill from this point. It really is. It's like, oh my gosh, but I see no way out. And then next week, we're going to go over the next 4. I'm not going to address them right here, but let me tell you, if you get to the point of terror, which is the last level, that's not good. Not good at all. And right now, when it comes to the urban community, especially our young Black brothers and sisters, we're committing suicide like never before. Right now, we are a terror-stricken people. And I don't know why. I have a theory that I'm going to share with you next week, but we are definitely a terror-stricken people. And this is why our suicide numbers are escalating. And it's very sad. So, like I said, this one is going to be a little heavy, but I'm here to help. I'm here to help you understand that this right here, the mind, your mind, it is a battlefield. We're struggling. Our thoughts. Oh my gosh, what is going to happen? I'm in this car for 8 hours. I'm in this car for 10 hours. It's freezing. My good, I'm like, oh my gosh, people lost electricity. People didn't have cell phone usage. People didn't have, what do you do? What can you do? Because guess what? You can't control the weather. At that point, you know you're not in control. And oftentimes, people have fear because they're not in control. And sometimes that's where it stems from. You have no control over the situation. How do you find peace when you don't have control? Very interesting. So next week, we're going to talk about the other 4 levels of intensity associated with fear. And I am glad that you all are here with me. I'm here with you. And, I don't have any, let's see, are there any comments or anything? No, not at this time. But again, I want to ask that you all like, share, subscribe. I am on iHeartRadio. I am on Spotify. I am on Facebook. I need you guys, listen to subscribe on YouTube. I need you to share this information because what this information is very valuable. I'm not gossiping. If you want gossip, you can go elsewhere for that. There are a lot of people out there that are gossiping, but at the end of the day, you probably still have no peace. You probably have no peace. People who enjoy gossiping, they have no peace. They really don't. They get their peace from negativity and not from peace in and of itself. So I need you to like, share, subscribe, follow me on Facebook. I'm on Dad's Blessed Ministries Incorporated. as well as Urban Tools for Change, presented by Dr. Lisa LaCon. And I thank you for coming into the Urban Suite. Hopefully, you guys, when you enter the Urban Suite, you will laugh, learn, cry, and grow. Until next week, God bless and good night. Thank you.